awarded points. We're set to go here at 91 pounds.
Loffredo, as you said, Dave, is a senior. You see the records up there, both very impressive. Brzozinski only a sophomore, which is more usual when you're down at 91 pounds. It's kind of unusual that Loffredo would be at that weight class as a senior. And it's got to be tough keeping that weight, although he looks like he isn't having any trouble making weight.
All right, Dale, why don't you run down the timing of the periods and the scoring setup?
Basically, we're going to get a takedown right there. Brzozinski's going to pick up 2. We're going to wrestle 3 2-minute periods, and you notice there's an assistant referee who will help out. The assistant merely is there to advise, to see things that perhaps one man couldn't see. They're not always needed, but it's nice to have them at the state championships at stake. They go out of bounds, and they'll bring them back in. Loffredo, in the gold, is down by a score of 2-0 at virtue of that takedown by Brzozinski, and he's got about 1 minute, 22 seconds left to go in this period, in this first period.
2 minutes in the first period?
All the way, 2-2-2.
All right, the man on top, Rick Brzozinski. He's a sophomore from West Islip, Section 11.
He's trying to work the half, and he's got Loffredo broken down, and he's controlling him, but watch Loffredo. We've seen him before. Loffredo's a good mover from the bottom, but Brzozinski's using that extra height, use that leverage, and it's a real advantage in this situation.
And they move outside the circle, so the action stops with 43 seconds remaining in the first period. As time permits in each match, we'll go through the bracket and tell you how each of these finalists got here, in case you're wondering about some favorites you might have who are not represented in the finals of each weight class.
And there's some fine wrestlers who are not going to be represented in these finals. Incidentally, we heard Leo Johnson, the Loffredo's coach at Baldwinsville High School, saying, be sure to get your back points when you get your reverse. Very optimistic. 30 seconds left to go, and Loffredo, his wrestler, still down 2-0 to Brzozinski, the sophomore from West Islip. And that's a full Nelson. That's going to cost Brzozinski a point. Illegal hold. Kind of unusual. Generally, when they go this far, they don't slip up and make those kinds of mistakes, but he did there.
Is that considered dangerous?
Yeah, it's considered dangerous because you've got 2 hands under the arms and on the back of the neck, and of course, any kind of time you're dealing with the neck, they're not going to give any breaks there. So if those hands just brush, Dave, doesn't even have to be a full Nelson. If they just touch, they'll stop it and give a point.
How does a 91-pound wrestler differ in technique from the bigger weights?
Well, in this particular instance, usually they're a little bit faster as we come down with just about 5 seconds left to go in this particular period. They're generally a little bit faster, and you don't see as many things like legs in those particular techniques. But there's going to be no more points scored in this first period, and it's going to end with Loffredo down by 1 point as Brzozinski got a takedown. He's up 2-1.
All right, Brzozinski got here by decisioning Jared Berrios of the Catholic High School Athletic Association 20-2, and then Brzozinski defeated Ed Jackson 11-2, and then he took the measure of J.P. Epifano by a score of 8-5. Loffredo won his opening match over David Bishko 13-3, and then he took Darren Bush 5-4 and Mike Locagnato by a 10-3 score.
Loffredo almost out, but the leg is thrown by Brzozinski, and he's got a half in, and he's trying to run that up and get some back points. There's a nice shot. You see Brzozinski on the top, yellow headgear, blue uniform, while Loffredo on the bottom in the gold. Section 11 and Section 3. We mentioned Section 11 had a number of participants in this, not as many as Section 5, but for a section, this would be an important match for them.
They have 7. Section 5 has 8.
Incidentally, right now, Brzozinski has been warned for stalling. Top man. He's got to try to pin him. You can't just ride. And that's what he's doing. He reminds me of a college wrestler in style and philosophy.
Well, it's not surprising because Brzozinski was in the Empire State Games competing in freestyle, and he was first this past summer.
Well, as you know, Dave, in that freestyle, in the international rules, there's a lot more of that type style of wrestling, and we've seen it when Lehigh wrestled Syracuse. You get the same kind of thing. I'm very impressed with Brzozinski. He's a tall, lanky kid. I don't know how long he's going to last at 91 pounds, because he just towers over, as you mentioned at the outset. He's a great deal taller than Loffredo.
And of course, speaking of freestyle and Greco-Roman, which I'm sure we'll mention sometime this evening, the Olympics are coming up this year, and this is a good time to learn about some of the sports you'll be seeing later this summer.
Right now, Brzozinski just riding Loffredo. He's been warned once for stalling. Brzozinski has, by not trying to pin, but he looks like he's maybe in an opportunity to get some back points. He got that leg locked up. Loffredo's got his hand up behind, trying to bring him forward, get his weight up high. You can see time winding down, just about 15 seconds left in this second period.
That yelling you hear is from Leo Johnson, the head coach of Baldwinsville, of Loffredo, and is he coaching the Section 3 team?
No, they coach each individual. There is no team coach per se, and this period is going to end with Section 3's Joe Loffredo down by a score of 2-1 to Rick Brzozinski.
So no scoring in that second period. It's 2-1. The sophomore Brzozinski will be on the bottom. And Loffredo, who looks the fresher of the two, will be on top here as we begin period number 3. Anything different to look for now?
We'll have to see. He's got to score some points. He's down by 1, and the only way you can get any points in the top is to put him on his back. If he doesn't, if the period wears down, he may let him up and try to take him down. But right now he's going to try to get some back points. And he's way out on top of Brzozinski, and he's trying to bring that arm back, get the half, but he's going to get caught here, and he's going to lose a point.
Yeah, the escape by Brzozinski there.
Oh, nice pick by Brzozinski. Not only did he escape, but he moved in a series. That's really important to watch. You know, it's one thing just to get out and say, okay, I got 1 point, but he knew as soon as he escaped, he was going to go right for the takedown, did a beautiful ankle pick, and picked up 2 more points. So that's going to make it 5-1 in favor of Brzozinski, and he's got an arm bar. He's got him barred up. He's going to try to bring him back, get some points. Those 2 supporting points of both wrestlers just out of bounds.
That's Leo Johnson on the right.
One of his assistant coaches from the Baldwinsville program with him. And their man in the gold right there from Section 3 in a bit of trouble against Section 11's Rick Brzozinski from West Islip High School, because Brzozinski looked really sharp on that escape and takedown. And now he can afford, despite the fact he's been warned, he can afford to try to tie up the legs and waste some time off the clock. Oh, right there, reversal.
And that tightens things up. Now it is a 5-3 match.
You can never relax in these.
Now we're down to 45 seconds.
Loffredo's got his work cut out for him. He gave up an escape the last time. Now he's going to give up. You see right there the height, the ability of Brzozinski. Nice move. And the sophomore now is up by a score of 7-3 as they go out of bounds.
So they swap reversals, and Brzozinski now has only 31 seconds more in this match.
This matchup, I should say, was predicted. I think both of these were picked to go into the final match, and Loffredo, perhaps some people thought might be a favorite, but mainly on the virtue of his senior status.
Each wrestler wrestling for the 4th time in the span of less than 2 days.
2 points quickly by Loffredo, 7-5. He's got to tip him, get some back points. 18 seconds.
Down to 15. Brzozinski trying to hang on. He's leading 7-5.
Very hard to cradle. His body is so long, Loffredo can't get the cradle on him, and he's just kind of stalling. And he gets 1 point. He's going to get 1 point at the buzzer, and that's going to be 7-6. Strategy to Brzozinski. He stalled at just the right time, gave up 1 point at the buzzer. What, 7-6?